thrilled to have everybody join us today for Healthy Hanukkah Dinner Recipes from My Persian Table with Nicole Dayani from Nicole's Kitchen, LA. I'm Jessica Jablon. I'm the Valley Outreach Program Coordinator for Sharsheret out of our California Regional Office. For those of you who don't know about Sharsheret, we are a nonprofit organization that helps women and families facing breast and ovarian cancer, as well as those who are at elevated genetic risk, through free, confidential, and personalized support and resources. We also provide health education throughout the country. One of our goals during COVID is to make sure that we are offering healthy living and cancer prevention information to you during this hard time and giving you what support you need. In addition to our virtual services that can be found on our website or by emailing us, you can also access prior webinars on a range of cancer-related topics, as well as access our calendar of upcoming virtual programs through our website. Before we start, I want to review some Zoom etiquette with you. Everyone on this call has been muted. Please keep your mute button on for the remainder of the program. If you have questions about Nicole's recipes that she's presenting today, please ask them in the chat box and I'll ask them throughout the program. You can just type your questions into the chat. If you would like to remain anonymous, you can turn off your video in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen by clicking Stop Video, and you can call in with the information that was posted in the chat. The program is also going to be recorded, and we will send it with our email follow-up, and it will live on our website. So what is Sharsheret in the Kitchen? This is the second program in the Sharsheret in the Kitchen series, a new initiative in partnership with Cedars-Sinai here in Los Angeles to incorporate healthy meals into our Jewish holidays. The first one was Rosh Hashanah with Deanie Klein from Prep and Rally, and the next one will be Shabbat, followed by Passover and Yom HaAtzmaut. You should have received the recipes in advance, but my colleague is putting the link to the recipes in the chat box so you can download it and print it or see it on your screen. We want to thank our generous sponsors, Cedars-Sinai, the Sigmund and Edith Blumenthal Memorial Fund, the Cooperative Agreement DP 19-1906 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Vassar Center for BRCA. Thank you to our wonderful community partners here in Los Angeles who helped us with this program today: Sinai Temple and Sinai Temple Sisterhood, Temple Aliyah, and Young Israel of Century City. We are grateful to our sponsors and our partners for helping make this program so successful. This is a Hanukkah unlike any that we have experienced. And at Sharsheret, we talk a lot about the importance of knowing your family health history to empower future generations to be aware of their risks and things to look out for regarding their health. In pre-COVID times, everyone celebrating together was a great time to have these conversations. After all, we were together, and it could be a discussion between family members among traditions like lighting the candles or eating food made from recipes passed down through the generations. Obviously, family gatherings aren't going to be the same this year, but we still encourage you to find ways to have these important conversations and to be taking care of yourself. We know how easy it is to be delaying your appointments right now during COVID, but whether it's your mammogram checkup or genetics consultation, please make sure you're staying on top of your own health. If something doesn't look or feel right, don't put off calling your doctor and don't put off having these conversations with your family. If you have questions about your own family health history and what to make of the information you gather, Sharsheret is here for you, and so is our free staff genetic counselor. She's available to speak by appointment, one-on-one, or through family conference calls. And we actually have a genetics webinar happening on Wednesday, December 9th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Beyond VRCA, Myths and Facts About Your Cancer Risk. Come hear Sharsheret's genetic program coordinator, Peggy Cottrell, as she discusses the latest gene mutations and how they increase genetic risk of cancer in both men and women. Peggy will cover breast cancer, ovarian cancer, male breast cancer, colon, pancreatic, prostate, uterine cancers, and melanoma. Please sign up to learn more. The link is in the chat. If you're interested in finding out more about Sharsheret's free, confidential, and personalized services, please email us or visit our website at sharsheret.org. Now, I want to introduce you to one of our wonderful California Advisory Committee members, Sarah, who will be sharing her story with us.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying sane, which is a little bit hard in Los Angeles now that everything is shut down again. To be honest, if you asked me 5 years ago if I would be doing a national webinar about myself and my cancer experience, I would have laughed in your face and asked you what drugs you're taking. Because not only would I not talk to a whole webinar about it, I wasn't even talking to my closest friends. On December 9th, 2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 31 years old. I had a 1-year-old and a husband who was just starting his medical practice, who happens to be a radiation oncologist. And at the time, I felt very strongly about keeping my diagnosis very, very personal. Being part of a very close-knit family, and a close-knit family in a very small and close-knit community, I, one, didn't want to be talked about and whispered about, and I felt a significant sense of responsibility over my parents and I have 2 younger sisters, mental and emotional well-being as well. So I chose to have surgery. I was lucky enough that I didn't need any additional treatment and, you know, thought that would be the end of it. But as survivorship has it, the cancer journey doesn't always end with whatever treatment you have. So a year after my diagnosis, I reached out to Sharsheret because I needed someone that could understand me. And I was put in touch with a peer supporter, and then I became a peer supporter. And when I was asked to be on the California Advisory Committee, I jumped at the opportunity. I was blessed with my son 3 years ago, and that's when Jenna reached out to me to ask if I would do it. And since then, I feel very strongly about taking the grief and sadness that my family went through, because I know that my parents really felt like they needed to protect me and save me as their child, and have, with the guidance of Sharsheret, been able to turn it into advocacy and into positivity, and have met amazing, amazing people throughout this experience. I want to take the opportunity to thank Amy, Jessica, Jenna, I'm not sure if she's here, and Nicole for doing this today. I have had the pleasure of taking Nicole's classes, so I can say from experience that you guys are in for a treat. I hope everybody enjoys their experience.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your story with all of us. We're so grateful for you and for the impact that you've made on Sharsheret, and of course, your amazing involvement. We're just grateful. You know, right now it's a difficult time, and we're looking for ways to make the holiday season special, filled with warmth and community. And whether that's by decorating the house, listening to a special song, finding ways to connect with family and friends through Zoom. I mean, for me, even though I couldn't celebrate Thanksgiving with my family, making the turkey and stuffing from my grandmother's recipes made me feel closer to them. But lucky for us as Jews, we often celebrate through food. And as we look to celebrating this unusual Hanukkah, there may be traditional reminders on our dinner table like latkes or sufganiyot, jelly donuts. And now we'll be able to create new traditions by adding the mouth-watering dishes Nicole will show us how to make today. For Nicole Dayani, food isn't just a passion, it's a way of life. Her passion for cooking was sparked when she used it as a way to keep busy during finals while studying at UCLA. In the beginning, her cooking was just experimental, but when she started posting her creations on Instagram for friends and family, she began to amass a dedicated following. She began donating cooking instruction services to local charities, and eventually teaching her unique culinary creations became a business, Nicole's Kitchen LA. Her mom, who's like a momager, attends classes with her, and they're like a dynamic duo. Nicole's purpose is to teach and inspire students to create unique dishes that can be easily made from exploring ingredients found in their fridges or pantries, and to create camaraderie through cooking, creating, and sharing laughs around the table together. Her greatest inspiration has always been her grandmother and the memories and connections that they made in the kitchen. We love having strong female business owners share their expertise at Sharsheret, and I'm very excited to turn this over to Nicole.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be a part of this, be a part of Sharsheret and all the other organizations that have partnered along with Sharsheret. I think this is a beautiful cause and such a special community, and I'm honored to be working with you guys. I am going to be cooking today a Persian Mediterranean inspired menu, and I can't wait to get cooking with you guys. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to message in the bar in the chat box, or if you have further questions or more detailed questions, you're more than welcome to email me at any time, and I'd be happy to answer. Let's do this. Okay, so today we are doing a curry latke with a saffron sour cream sauce. We're doing a Israeli-style couscous with crispy chickpeas and dill. And then we're also doing a saffron roasted maitake, and we're also using button mushrooms today, roasted mushrooms that's like kind of kebab flavored. We're going to be serving that with a pistachio styled herb sauce chimichurri and pickled radishes. So we are actually going to begin working on the latke, and then we'll jump back and forth. Okay, so So I recommend using russet potatoes. Amy, may I get some gloves from you? Great. I recommend using russet potatoes with the peel on. You can also use like yellow skin potatoes. You want to keep the skin on because that gives texture to the latke. I am a first generation Iranian American Jew. And so I like to kind of keep my recipes inspired by my Jewish roots and my Iranian roots. As far as I know, latkes were not something in Iran that was eaten until they came to America, and latkes kind of became a thing. So of course, trying to keep the Iranian in the whole Jewish latke idea. We're doing like a saffron sauce today. Iranians like to use a lot of cumin and curry. Curry is traditionally from the Indians. However, we also use curry in our rice, and we use a lot of cumin, which is in curry. So here I have already gone ahead and grated my potatoes. I have a strainer over here and a bowl. So I am going to go ahead and take my grated potatoes and put it in the strainer. What we're doing is just separating the extra juice, the extra liquid, just so our latkes are not watery. And then I'm also going to go ahead and take my grated onions, which also have excess water, into our potatoes over here. So what's gonna happen is our potatoes and our onions are gonna let out juice, and potatoes have natural starches. So we are gonna let this sit for a few minutes, and we are going to press out the extra liquid. And then beyond the liquid, there is going to be some starch, potato starch at the bottom. So we are going to remove the liquid and then use the starch for a latke, because it's going to help bring the latke together. So let's just continue squeezing this for a little bit, and then we're gonna move on to another recipe and then revisit this, okay? So I'm just gonna show you, this was already sitting in a bowl from before, and so I'll show you right over here so you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this liquid. There's a little bit of starch, some stickiness down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this sticky starch into our latke mix as well. So this is garbage, this liquid. we don't want this. We're gonna throw this out. So this is gonna just sit here for a few minutes, and we're gonna move on to our mushroom recipe and then jump back. So over here, I like to make a lot of vegetarian recipes, and obviously growing up as an Iranian, we had a lot of kebab, a lot of grilled chicken, a lot of grilled meat. But of course, eating so much animal fat is not so healthy. So I kind of came up with a substitution of having that kebab flavor and infusing it into roasted mushrooms. You can use portobello mushrooms. Today, my original recipe is with maitake mushrooms. So Claudia, if you can kind of go ahead and show them what a maitake looks like. It's very steaky. It's quite thick. And button mushrooms as well. They're kind of chewy. So obviously the end mushrooms come from the ground. So you just want to cut off the end of the mushroom, and sometimes they fall apart, and that's okay. But we try to keep it as chunky as possible because we kind of want to serve it as if it's a steak. So I've lined a baking tray with parchment paper over here, and we are using garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, as well as chicken kebab seasoning. So I like to use the brand Sadaf. Chicken kebab seasoning has also onion powder, garlic powder, dried lemon, and saffron, which is the most popular used spice in Iranian cuisine. So I'm gonna go ahead now in a mixing bowl and mix. We're making kind of like an oil paste. So we're gonna make the oil paste with grapeseed oil and the listed spices, and then we're gonna go ahead and brush our mushroom. Yeah. All right, so we have a mixing bowl over here. I have my grapeseed oil, and then I'll go ahead and add my listed spices. So we're gonna go ahead and add the Sadaf chicken kebab seasoning, which you can go ahead and order from Amazon. You can also order this off of their website. We have enough.
Nicole?
Yes.
We did have a question about an alternative to the chicken kebab seasoning.
Yeah.
If somebody wasn't able to get it, for whatever reason, could they use those other spices that you mentioned, the onion powder? And
Yeah, they could use those spices. They could use those spices and just add a little bit more into the oil mixture.
Okay.
So just by a third, just add more of the onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the spice in here.
We have one other question about the oil that you use, the grapeseed oil. Is there a particular reason that you choose to use grapeseed oil? Is there another oil that you can use?
Yes. So I recommend either cooking with avocado oil or grapeseed oil because they are neutral oils. They can handle over 500 degrees Fahrenheit, as opposed to olive oil or extra virgin olive oil. Those are oils that should be used only for salads, on top of a dip. Those are cold pressed oils that can't handle high heat. So olive oil and extra virgin can only handle up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which means above that temperature, it becomes a carcinogen. So this is why I equally use avocado and grapeseed oil, because they can handle high heat and it's neutral, so it doesn't burn. That's why I use it.
Great.
What I'm doing is I'm using my oil spice paste, and I'm just nicely brushing it with the spice mixture.
Someone was curious about adding chicken bouillon with the spices. Would that work?
They can do that, absolutely. It's actually super flavorful. Good idea.
And canola oil, would that work?
That would definitely work. It's just not such a healthy oil. Canola and vegetable oil are not as healthy as grapeseed and avocado. But of course they work if you have it, yeah.
And is there a taste difference between the grapeseed and avocado oils?
No, those are just equally healthy oils for cooking. They're very neutral. That's why I like to use it, because it doesn't give additional flavor to your food. It's a great way to control the flavor. All right, so as you can see, I've gone ahead and brushed my spices over my mushrooms. So this is gonna go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 25-30 minutes until they get nicely roasted. You don't need to flip it. You don't need to shake it or anything. So you're gonna just pop it into the oven at 400. So 400 is a roast temperature. So if the temperature is 350, 370, 380, that's baked. So a lot of times people ask me, how come my vegetables didn't get a roasty texture? Well, the reason is at 400 degrees is when whatever you're putting in the oven is hitting at a roast. The heat is so high that the outside of whatever you're roasting gets dehydrated. And that's how you get a proper roast. Anything at 350, 375, anything below 400 is a bake. So the chances of your vegetable or anything that you're preparing to get that roasted caramelized look, it's not going to get there because the heat is not high enough. All right, so that is the mushroom kebab. We are going to work on the chimichurri sauce.
Nicole, there's one more question on the mushrooms. Somebody who is allergic to mushrooms, would this work with eggplant?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you can definitely use eggplant or zucchini. You can cut them into like 4-inch, 3-inch wedges and do the same brushing kind of technique. Mushrooms are a little bit more delicate, which is why I use the pastry brush. If you actually use eggplant and zucchini and peppers and want to use the same mixture, you can cut the bell pepper in like 3-inch pieces and the eggplant and the zucchini in 3-inch pieces, put it in a mixing bowl, make the spice paste, pour that spice oil paste with the veggies and give it a nice toss. Those kind of vegetables are not as delicate as the mushrooms. We're trying to keep the mushrooms as together as possible for presentation and for you to feel like you're having like a piece of chicken or a piece of steak. All right, so now let's move on to our pistachio herb chimichurri sauce, which is a great, could be a great sauce on top of, I know we're making a vegetarian dish, but would be great on chicken, steak, etc. Okay, so Claudia, if you can kindly bring the camera over here. So you can actually go ahead and make this herb sauce a few days before. What I love about this is that it'll last about 7 to 10 days in your refrigerator. It won't go bad because it's basically marinated in olive oil and vinegar, so it stays really well. The herbs that we're using today is parsley and cilantro. You should make sure that you wash and dry them properly so they're not wet. Because if they are wet, they tend to become, they kind of tend to rot quickly. And then a lot of people ask me if they can chop the cilantro and parsley in a food processor. You can go ahead and pulse your herbs in a food processor for this. However, I know it's hard to chop sometimes. I just want to warn you that putting herbs in a food processor for like a chimichurri kind of sauce can sometimes make the sauce bitter. That's why I hand chop it. It's a little bit more delicate process. So here I'm gonna go ahead and add in a mixing bowl my finely chopped parsley, my finely chopped cilantro, my finely chopped pistachios.
If somebody were allergic to nuts, is there another thing that you would recommend besides pistachios?
You could definitely put black and white sesame seeds. You can do pumpkin seeds roughly chopped. You can completely omit it and it'd be great. This makes it a little bit heavier. The nuts make it heavier, reason being because we're serving it with it's vegetarian. The nuts kind of make it a little bit more meaty. If I was gonna make this sauce for chicken and steak or salmon, I would actually omit the pistachios. It makes it a little bit heavy. So here I'm gonna go ahead and add my salt, pepper, and dry oregano, my finely chopped shallots, my crushed garlic, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and roughly chop my capers, which is gonna give it a little bit of a salty taste to it.
There was a question about the best way to wash and dry the herbs. Do you do it before or after you chop it?
I do it before. So you would basically take a big bowl of cold water and then cut the end stems of your herb, and then up until where you basically see the leaves, and then dump it in the water. You want to keep plunging it in the cold water, and then remove the water, pat dry with a paper towel, and then put it in a salad spinner.
And for those of us who are not fans of cilantro, do you have a substitution for that?
Yeah, you can either use parsley or completely omit it. I mean, you can do more parts of parsley and just completely omit the cilantro. You can also either add dill or completely just omit the cilantro. It's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have our capers in here, and then we're gonna go ahead and get our lemon zest in here. We have our red wine vinegar. And then this is basically an olive oil based sauce. So we're gonna go ahead and cover this completely in olive oil. You can also use this as a salad dressing and reduce the amount of olive oil and do equal parts of red wine vinegar to olive oil if you want to use it as a salad dressing. You could also use this as a dip, by the way, with like chips.
Or it looks very versatile. It looks very versatile.
Yeah, it's just, you can use it for anything. It's very good. Okay, so this is our herb sauce. It's just gonna sit and marinate for about 20, 30 minutes. You don't wanna let it marinate in the fridge. It tends to kind of ruin the process of all the flavors coming together. So it's best just to sit on your countertop. All right, so let's revisit our potato latkes. So I'm just gonna show you how much liquid there really was.
Well, can I ask you a couple of follow-up questions?
Yes.
Somebody wanted to know about what brand olive oil you recommend?
I like the brand Sparta.
And somebody else was asking whether apple cider vinegar could be used instead of the olive oil.
Apple cider vinegar could be used, seasoned rice wine vinegar can be used, and white wine vinegar can also be used. Because you're not using very much, you're just adding a little bit of acid in there. Doesn't make that big of a difference. Okay, so back to the potato latkes. So just gonna show you the liquid that was in here, and then what I'm going to do is remove the excess liquid. Claudia, can you please put the camera on? So I've removed that liquid, and I just want to show you, this is the potato starch. You see that? So this is good for our latke. It's crazy, it's like so thick too. Okay, can I get a mixing bowl? Thank you. All right, so we are gonna go ahead and get our grated potatoes in here. We're going to get our potato starch in here. It's crazy. Okay, we are going to get our spices in here. Onion powder, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, and curry powder. Our chopped cilantro. Many of you stated that you don't like cilantro, so if you don't like cilantro, you can go ahead and add in either parsley or dill in replacement of the cilantro. We have the breadcrumbs. I'm using Pereg brand. Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. You can use any kind that you like. I like the Italian one. Spice left here. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our egg. Get some gloves on here. Some nice. Amy, can you bring me a carrot? Nicely mix this up.
Did you say cayenne and curry?
No, I use paprika and curry powder. You could use cayenne if you want a hint of spicy, though.
There's so many different types of curry. Is there a specific one?
Yeah, I'm using yellow, Sadaf brand yellow curry.
And the breadcrumbs, what company was that from?
Pereg, it's a kosher company that also has, just peel it outside. Pereg, P-E-R-E-G. They have a variety of fabulous breadcrumbs that I use for schnitzel, and I use the Italian kind today, but you can use any flavor you like. You can, you know, experiment with the Mexican flavor, the Viennese flavor. All right, so you guys are gonna go ahead and meet me at the stove. Okay, so I'm using a non-stick pan, non-stick ceramic pan, which is great for frying.
There's a lot of stove envy.
Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to begin by adding our grapeseed oil again, because it's a great oil for frying. It doesn't burn as much as olive oil would burn. So we're gonna add enough, about an inch of oil. All right, so now it's gonna take about 2 minutes for our oil to get hot, and how we're going to check is we're just gonna take a wooden spoon, put it in the oil, and if we see bubbles around the edges of the wooden spoon, that means our oil is hot enough. Because if your oil is not hot enough, then what's going to happen? Your latke will fall apart. All right, now, so while we're waiting for that to happen, we are going to begin by working on our couscous recipe, which requires, this is going to be, there's 2 types of couscous. So funny. And can you give me couscous? Bad. Okay, so we're using the type of couscous that's like pasta, not the Moroccan couscous. So I've gone ahead and boiled it exactly like you would boil pasta. You have to follow the Israeli pearl couscous. Okay, it's basically pasta, but like grainy, small. So the only thing that I'd like to tell you about couscous, Israeli couscous, is that since the pasta grains are so fine, once you drain the couscous, like in a pasta drainer, spread it out on a baking tray so it can quickly cool off, because it tends to steam when it's still hot and then it gets super mushy. So just oil a baking tray as soon as you drain your couscous. Lightly oil the bottom of a baking tray, you see it's shiny, and then pour your couscous flat on a baking tray just so it can cool off. Does that make sense? Because it's very delicate. All right, so what we're gonna do for our couscous is we're gonna begin by sauteing our onions in this saute pan while we're waiting for our oil to get hot for our latkes. So I'm just gonna start off with a few tablespoons of grapeseed oil. I have finely chopped my onions for our couscous. So this couscous over here basically has caramelized onions, garlic, crispy chickpeas, which we're gonna fry together, fresh dill, and sumac. We're gonna get there, but we're gonna just begin on sauteing our onions for our couscous dish.
Could you use parchment paper instead?
For the couscous?
Yeah.
You could, if you don't want to make your tray dirty. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because this is basically like a hot and cold couscous recipe. So this is just so it doesn't stick together once you boil it. Okay, we're gonna revisit our pan over here for our latke, and I'm just gonna show you. So I see, you see the bubbles over there? You see that? It means it's hot. So I am going to just so I learned this trick, which many of you may know. So latkes or frying anything, there are a lot of particles that fall apart and tend to cause burning in your saute pan. So what happens is if you put the carrot in the corner over here, it helps kind of drag all the little tidbits in the saute pan towards the carrot. So we're going to add the carrot in here, and we are going to make our little latkes. And I am going to move my onions around for a little bit.
We have a few questions that came in.
Yes?
Do you toast the couscous before cooking it?
I don't. No.
Do you have a chopper that you use for the onions?
Yes, I do. It's called the Professional Chopper, which you can find on Amazon. And when we get back to our station over there, Claudia will send you the link for a professional chopper via Amazon. So I like to do smaller latkes rather than bigger latkes. I would say about 2.5-inch rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop it in the oil. It's the personal preference. Some people like it big.
How high is the oil on? Is it on medium?
Yeah, right now it's on medium low. Because we want to make sure that the inside also cooks without the outside burning.
If someone is gluten-free, what can they substitute for the breadcrumbs and the couscous?
For the breadcrumbs, they could substitute and use potato starch, like the canned potato starch, or also cassava flour is also a good option. And then for the couscous, they can go ahead and use quinoa.
And can you bake these instead of frying them?
You could definitely bake them. You would bake it at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. So we're going to revisit our onions right now. So as soon as you see kind of like caramelized bits like this, we're going to go ahead and add in our spices, which is turmeric and cumin. We're going to add our sliced garlic over here into our onions. And when you see it's a little bit dry, you can go ahead and add another tablespoon of the grapeseed oil just so it doesn't burn. And can you bring me some vegetable broth? All right, so once you see the edges of the latke golden, then you can go ahead and peel it. So I see the edges of the first latke that we added golden. Right. So I'm going to show you a trick with oil when you're sauteing. I see a lot of people on the cooking channel multiple times adding in oil. So instead of doing that, instead of my first round, after the oil has evaporated, I go ahead and I add about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of vegetable broth instead of using more oil. So this will just soften up my onion. You see, it does the same thing that the oil will do. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip my latke over here.
And to confirm, the latkes, if you're baking them, it's 30 minutes?
30 minutes at 400, yes.
Great.
So I want my onions to be a little bit more tender. So again, I'll go in with a few more tablespoons. Imagine how much oil we use when we saute. That's why I use the vegetable broth. And something that I'd like to share with all of you, I try to be oil conscious. Of course, Hanukkah is the holiday of lights, and that's why we're using a lot of oil. I have lost over 75 pounds. So I've come up with a lot of tricks to use less oil in my cooking. And that's how I came up with the vegetable broth one. Okay, so this one, the edges are golden, so I'll go ahead and flip. Waiting on these two. here.
It's amazing how they're sticking together so well.
Yeah, so removing that liquid really helps. All right, so our onions are done. I'll show you. I'll go ahead and fry a few more while we're here. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and make your latke mixture the night before and just keep it in your fridge covered. So this mix over here, you could do it the night before. Oh. Okay, so Amy, can I get a bowl for the caramelized onions?
There are not any more questions right at this moment, except for the link of the onion chopper, which we send out.
Yeah, we will. We'll send it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna remove the onions, which if you have a lot going on, you can definitely go ahead and saute your onions the night before, the day before, keep it in your fridge. Save yourself the trouble. Okay, so here's our onions. Okay, so as you can see, the carrot. Okay, so potatoes are, these ones are done. So I'm gonna just have a paper towel plate over here. I'm gonna set it nicely on there. Move this along.
Someone said that they were on a different webinar where they learned that they could saute the vegetables for the oil and bake the latkes in that. Is that something that you've seen?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
So where you could saute vegetables,
okay,
the oil from that to bake the latkes.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Of course, the oil will get some nice flavor from the veggies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead now and crisp up our chickpeas. This could also be done in the oven as well, but they won't get as crispy as they would here, but we're not using as much oil. So we're gonna just go ahead with a few tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. We're making crispy chickpeas, so I'm using canned chickpeas over here, which I've dried with a paper towel. The key is make sure your oil is very hot. So this will take about a minute or so, and I'm gonna go ahead and flip these other latkes.
Nicole, what pans are you using?
These are non-stick ceramic pots that I bought from Marshall's actually, and these ones really don't have a brand, but I'd be happy to give some suggestions that are easy to find on Amazon. Also, when I share with you guys the chopper I'm using.
Oh.
Our oil's hot, so I'll go ahead and I'll add the chickpeas. So the key to making crispy chickpeas is not stirring it. The more you stir the chickpeas, the less of an opportunity you're giving your chickpeas to crisp up. So we're gonna wait about 3 to 4 minutes before we give this a toss. And so in case that the chickpeas might be a little bit wet, we like to use the splatter net. It's $1 from Amazon. So we just set it right there so the oil doesn't splatter on you. All right, so our latkes are done over here.
Those look amazing.
Nice and puffy. We'll make the sour cream sauce for it.
If there are questions that are not really relevant to the recipes that we are cooking today, Nicole's email is on the recipe list, and she is available on her website, and feel free to reach out to her and find out more about her classes that she teaches. The food all looks amazing, like you can see today.
Yep. Yeah, some people get a little bit confused on the website. There's online classes. So if you want to check out the list separate, we used to have in-person classes here in LA, but because of Corona, obviously we put in-person cooking classes to a pause. And now we're teaching about 20 online classes a month. So you can go online under online classes and see the variety of stuff that we're teaching there.
If you don't have sumac, what substitute can you use?
You could use za'atar, which is a Lebanese spice blend. You can use, the sumac is a little bit lemony, so if you don't want to use, if you don't have the sumac spice, you can go ahead and add like the juice of half of a lemon and add black sesame seeds for that crunch effect. This is going well. Finish it all up while we're here. Planning on frying these later, but why? So as you can see, I'm not stirring the chickpeas at all. I'll just show you, they're getting kind of golden. See that? So now we can stir it because we let it do its part for a few minutes.
Nicole, can you tell us what you're smelling?
Yeah, I can. Well, over here for the latkes, we're smelling a lot of spice, the curry smell, onion, garlic flavor, the caramelized onions going on over here. There's definitely a lot of spice and herby smell going on. I wish you guys were here. We could have shared it all together.
I can smell it. I feel like I can smell it through the screen. It looks so delicious.
Oh, smells awesome.
Flip this one.
I like when it gets like that.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah. Not
crunchy.
perfect.
Oh, these are so perfect. Wow.
Claudia doesn't like it perfect.
Which I usually do like.
Okay, so our chickpeas are almost golden.
And the sumac was used in the couscous, correct?
Yeah, the chickpeas are going to go into the couscous. We're going to assemble that together.
Yeah. What happens with the latke oil once you're finished?
If it doesn't have a lot of burnt stuff going on, then I reuse it. Like someone said, like if they fried vegetables or saute vegetables, and I'll use it to saute vegetables. I'll use it for like roasting chicken. There's a lot of flavor in here. As long as I don't see a lot of black bits, you could also put the oil through a strainer if you don't want to waste the oil. But you don't want to really reuse oil more than 2 times, because then it gets a lot of bits and stuff in there. Okay, so our chickpeas are almost all crispy.
And how many servings will these recipes give you?
This is all for about 8 people. Private class today, we are teaching a curry cilantro latke. We're also working on crispy chickpeas for our herb couscous. All right, so our latkes are done. Chickpeas are done. Okay. So y'all over here, back. Pickled shallot.
I'm gonna unplug the phone. Sorry, we got the phone ringing.
Do you recommend keeping
Experience in our house.
Do you recommend keeping the latkes in the oven? And if so, at what temperature?
Yeah, so I recommend if you're hosting to fry about 30 minutes before your guests come. And then you can go ahead and take it off about a minute early, take the latke off a minute early, and then you can pop it into the oven at about 350 for another 15 minutes.
You mentioned latkes are not really a common food in Iran. What fried Persian foods do you associate with this holiday? Are there any?
It's really interesting because I've asked, my grandparents, I was like, during Hanukkah, what did you guys have, like Jewish food, like anything to celebrate Hanukkah? And there wasn't a food like that was kind of signified with Hanukkah. They would, obviously it was a big deal to light the menorah, and it was like everybody would gather. But they didn't, as far as my family and as much as I've asked around, I don't think there was. They said until they came to America, they weren't familiar. So we kind of took on the Ashkenazi, like the latkes that people know here, and we kind of do our own version, like I'm doing the saffron sour cream, for example. In Iran, they have, the only thing that my grandmother said is that in the sufganiyot, they call it ponchik or pirashki. The Armenians also have the sufganiyot, which is basically the donuts filled with the cream, and they would have that like as a dessert. But I don't know why they didn't have a food during Hanukkah.
It was like dried fruits or bimuelos. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Donuts.
Yeah, I mean, they would like, for example, like my grandmother would say we would purchase like something that would signify like oil, and fried would be like the pirashki or the ponchik that's known in Armenian, because there's a lot of Armenians in Iran. They would buy from the Armenian bakeries, which is similar to the sufganiyot, but like latkes and stuff, it wasn't a thing. They didn't really have food until they came here, which is so interesting for me.
And I know we're running a little bit longer. If people do need to leave, I just want to remind you that the recording will be emailed to you, and to keep a lookout for that within the week.
Almost done. I think we have another maybe 7 minutes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and assemble our couscous. So I'm going to go ahead and get the couscous in a mixing bowl over here. Can you give me the saffron and hot water, please?
And we will also send the links to the chopper and to the tea kettle if we can find that. I know there were a few questions about that. We can send that with the.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have our couscous in here. We're going to get our crispy chickpeas into our mixing bowl over here. Get our caramelized onions and garlic. Still. And the sumac. This is sumac, traditionally used as a condiment for kebab and rice in Iran. It's sour, lemony. So if you can't find this, just add some lemon juice in here, and you can add black sesame seeds for a little bit more texture. So go ahead and add the sumac in here. And we're going to go ahead and add the olive oil, seasoned rice wine vinegar. So I use seasoned because it has a little bit of sugar in there.
Really interesting.
What?
Persian Jewry originates from Babylon exile, which is before Hanukkah. So, which is before like the Hanukkah happened. So even though they adopted a later holiday, it is not a typical food celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we like don't
You
really.
don't have it, yeah.
Persians don't really have a Hanukkah tradition.
So now we're gonna go ahead and toss our Persian-inspired couscous with caramelized onions, sumac, dill, garlic, smells really good. You can serve this with like a grilled salmon or steak or chicken as well, but this is gonna pair really well with the mushrooms. All right, so now what I like to do, because I wanna make this a complete dish, I am going to show you how to plate up the mushrooms with the herb pesto and the couscous on the same plate. Two different dishes, but this would make a great main course. Amy, can I get that round plate from you? The round, yeah, the round low plate. No, that's for the lock. We're gonna get there. Okay, so here is my talking mushrooms out of the oven. So you can either plate it all together. I'll show you how I would plate the couscous and the mushrooms together as a dish. So here is our pistachio pesto, herb sauce, chimichurri. So I'll take a little bit of that over here. It's not a pesto.
Is the couscous dish served hot or cold?
Room temperature.
Room temperature. And for the sumac, you could substitute that. What could you use as a substitute?
With lemon juice and black sesame seeds.
Lemon juice.
Okay, so I'm gonna take my talking mushroom over here. And then I'm gonna take couscous over here. Huh? What?
I wish you could see the chat, Nicole. Everybody is so excited about these recipes.
Yeah. So I love this couscous, it's so good. Okay, and then, you know, we have some button mushrooms as well, so we can just mix it up. Okay, and then we're gonna just show you the pickled radishes. You could even do pickled shallots if you'd like, either or, which would be the finishing for this. So here I have pickled shallots, okay? You could do either or. This is ready to go, but I'm gonna show you how to get here. So you can literally use shallots or radishes, or do both. You can pickle both in the same thing. So here's my pickled shallot. I'll show you how to get here. All right, so I'm using a handy dandy mandolin. Here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slice it thin. Amy, do you have the red wine vinegar? So I've just gone ahead and shaved. So you can go ahead, actually, just for your own convenience, and pickle this the night before. I'm gonna show you how to do it right now. Okay, so here we have the radishes that were sliced super thin on a mandolin. And then all you gotta do is cover it with red wine vinegar and salt. So we're just gonna go ahead and just completely cover this with the red wine vinegar. And then you just wanna get it in an airtight container. I'm just showing you in a bowl right now so you know what I'm doing. And then airtight cover, put it in the fridge. It's best overnight. So this will also last in your refrigerator for up to 3 months. So these are called quick pickles. So as long as you keep them covered, what I do is I keep reusing the vinegar. I do carrots, I do shallots, like I've shown you over there. And the vinegar will start turning into a dark red, bright color like you see over here. Okay, because the shallots are red, the radishes are red, and it turns into this color. So for the sake that I already have shallots, I'm gonna use the shallots today. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add it right on top of my mushrooms. You can go ahead and add a little bit on your couscous if you like.
With the pickled radishes, did you add salt and sugar to that?
So a lot of people don't want to have added sugar, but our directions also have sugar. You can add a little bit of sugar just to enhance some sweetness. My family likes everything acidic. So for my house, I don't. For myself, I like the sugar. Okay, so this is the mushrooms with the pistachio herb sauce, our couscous, And then we're gonna just quickly show you the saffron sour cream. And we're gonna show you how to plate the latke, and then we're done. Claudia, can you please pass me that plate over there? Yeah, and can I get a mixing bowl? Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna get my sour cream into a mixing bowl.
Would you recommend using a sugar substitute like Truvia?
You can do honey or you can do agave. So I'm gonna go ahead in my mixing bowl and get some sour cream and then some lemon juice.
And could you pickle cucumbers like
Oh,
you
yeah, exactly.
same thing?
Yeah. So we have our sour cream, our lemon juice, and then so saffron comes from a safflower. Iran has the largest production of saffron, which comes from the safflower. Each safflower has 3 strands of saffron. So they are handpicked, which makes saffron so expensive. There's fields and fields of safflower fields in Iran, which makes them the best production of saffron. My sister's gonna go ahead and type in the brand of saffron that I like, and that's easily accessible on the internet. If you have a local Persian supermarket, of course they have saffron there for you. Can you use Spanish saffron, which is the most common question? You can. Is it as potent as Iranian saffron? It's really not. And then a lot of people have the misunderstanding of using just the threads and just dumping it in the food. Unfortunately, saffron really doesn't have much flavor if you only use the threads. So you should purchase a designated coffee grinder used just to grind up your saffron if you are going to be dedicated to using saffron. So you'll take the pack of threads, dump it into the coffee grinder, and you will get saffron powder like this. So how you should store your saffron is in an airtight container in the refrigerator. So I always keep this in the fridge. Saffron hates heat, so you should never leave it in like by your stove. And then you also do not get the flavor of the saffron if you just dump the powder into the sour cream. So what you should do is you can get some hot water, add the ground up saffron in the hot water, like so. You should get this color over here. You should wait till the hot water gets cooled off because you don't want to add warm water into the sour cream. So here I already have made the saffron water. I'm going to go ahead and add it into my sour cream.
For a couple of questions, if you pickled cucumbers, what would you use instead of red wine vinegar because of the color?
You can use white wine vinegar and apple cider vinegar. You can mix the two.
And could you use, for the chickpeas, could you use an air fryer?
Yeah, you can absolutely use an air fryer. All right, so let's go ahead and plate our latke. So here we are going to go ahead and take latkes. So then I'm going to just dollop our saffron cream. And then, Amy, can you do the fresh or white? Fresh. No. I need this with this one. So I'm gonna just take some chives that I've, and chop it fine. My sister's waiting to eat this, guys. Okay, the parsley.
Yeah. There were some questions about whether or not you could get it delivered.
This?
Oh no, like from you, from your screen to our table.
Oh yeah, I wish. I wish. We do offer pickup boutique catering though. So you can email us for that. Okay, so we're gonna put the dill stem really nicely there. So here is our curried cilantro potato latke with saffron sour cream. are my taki mushroom roasted kebab, pistachio herb sauce, our sumac and crispy chickpea Israeli couscous, and either pickled radishes or shallots would make a beautiful finish. And that's really it.
Wow. Well, this was amazing, Nicole. Thank you so much. I know we all learned a lot. That carrot tip is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, no, I can't wait to make these myself. Please, we're going to put our survey into the chat box. Please let us know how we're doing, and if there's any feedback that you have, it's really helpful to us. Please remember to sign up for our Beyond BRCA webinar happening on Wednesday. And the links for both of those are in the chat. And keep a lookout for your email for the recording of this, for our next Sharsheret in the Kitchen, which is going to be happening on January 21st at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with Jake Cohen. He's going to be doing a healthy modern twist on Shabbat dinner. And from all of us at Sharsheret, we want to thank you for joining us today. And we wish you all a Hanukkah filled with light.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was such an honor. I really enjoyed it. And I hope to see all of you guys soon. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't leave done yet.
Huh?
I said I won't leave done yet.
Squishy.
That was nice.
The next class is January 21st at 5 p.m., 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Wow.
Claudia likes the latke, everyone.
How could you not? It looked so good.
If y'all were here.
Already started eating it.
Cool. Yeah, this is so bomb. Persian jewelry.